Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor here. Today we're going to give you another bolo. Today we're going to talk about vintage bottle caps. Without further ado, we're going to hop straight over to the screen and we're going to show you what we're talking about. Now, this is bottle caps. Now, it's not a huge category, but this is something that most people don't mess with. Even if the bottle cap has some issues, it still can go for some good money. Even if it's been popped and has a dent in it, some of the dented ones can still sell for hundreds of dollars. Now, most of the ones you want are going to be cork lined. They will have cork on the inside if you flip them over. We're going to look at some closely in just a minute here, but you can see all the varieties and different lots. And they go for decent money. They're not just junk. Again, these are missed by a ton of different people. I can find sometimes bulk lots of these at an auction. Most estate sales in the garage, I can find a few of them. Sometimes there'll be a whole coffee can of them in a garage or an attic or a basement. Sometimes you'll find them mixed with toys where kids have collected enough to actually use to make checkers out of. So again, they could be anywhere in a house or at an estate sale or something like that. Local live auctions, any of those type of places, these will show up. Again, it's not a huge category. There's not much to it. If you see cork-lined bottle caps, I always look for them. Specific areas can mean a big difference too, because some may have only had a bottle factory or a pressing factory for a very short period of time. When you're collecting soda shop items, the bottle is one price, a bottle with a label is another, a label without a bottle is another price, and the same thing with a cap. You can have cap bottles, uncapped bottles, bottle caps that were used, or bottle caps that were never crimped onto a bottle. Those are all kinds of different options, all from that same bottle. Now, this Pepsi one here is probably circa like 1910, 1915. The turn of the century is about the time frame when bottle caps were coming into play instead of corks and things like that. That's why it still has cork on there, because that was the main way they actually sealed bottles for a very long time, was with a cork. And this one went for $406. Now, the next one here is probably a Prohibition item. They would market alcohol-based products in bottles like this as a medicine, as opposed to alcohol. And they would put alcoholic bases in them and sell them that way. So people would get drunk on stuff like this. So these are highly collected. This one went for $255. Now, here's an early Pepsi one. There's a Pepsi guidebook for all these kind of stuff. So you can determine the date and age of a bottle, get the right cap, get the right label. You could put a bottle, label, cap together. People will actually fill these up with a colored water that simulates the Pepsi, and they will try and pawn those off as sealed bottles sometimes, because you can get a recapper and recap any of these. You can get an uncrimped one as well too. So it's just the way you can go. And some people will actually replace the cork in these also. Obviously, if you're finding this like in an estate sale or something, it's not going to be fake. It's just going to be an old cap sitting around. If they're dirty and dingy and have surface issues, you can still sell them. Again, local live auctions, estate sales, even antique malls, I do find these at really cheap sometimes. Sometimes it's in like a crafter's bag or a crafter's sale. Garage sales, sometimes you can find some early ones at too as well. For us, we get a lot of stuff from pickers. Secondary-wise would be estate sales, which would probably be your best source for this type of material as well, too. That last one was $217. Moxie's been around for a long time. They changed it basically to a soda from like a quack medicine. Coca-Cola started basically the same way. It was a quack medicine. And if I'm not mistaken, it actually had cocaine in the original ones as a medicine. They even issued tax stamps for those, and those tax stamps go for a ton of money. But this one went for $202. This is a drawback using similar graphics from the late 1890s, even what you would possibly see on a trade card or a print ad. Again, any of these items for pretty much any type of collectible, whether this be a trade card or some of the trade cards for Coca-Cola with a coupon on it, sell for a ton of money. There are trade cards for Coke. I sold a Coke trade card for over $500 because it had a coupon on the back for a free bottle. Now, people will cut out that coupon too, but there's caps that are worth almost as much. There are some caps that went for over $1,000 on eBay, so it's something to look for every time you go out, and they're usually dirt cheap. Most people don't think a dirty bottle cap is worth any money. You're probably thinking the same thing. Who would pay for that? But beer collectors, soda collectors, quack medicine collectors all buy this stuff. And again, this one went for $202. Buffalo Brewing. Any of these early pre-Prohibition ones, all this stuff goes for a decent amount of money. This is probably like 1910 or 20 range, World War I era. Nice primo item, $162. Here's an early Coke one from Japan. Now this one's cork, so this puts this probably in occupation era, possibly for how early this Coca-Cola one is. That's probably about the time frame we actually came into the country with the product, I would gather. So $162 on this one. It's a primo looking cap too. Now here's an orange Pepsi, it says. Now the lid's probably orange. They had flavored sodas just like they're putting out now. They've got berry Pepsi, and I think the other one's lime and... geez, I can't remember what the other one is, but I saw 3 flavored ones. These have been around for years. When I was a kid, you could get bottles of like lime and cherry Coke in the bottle, the vintage glass bottles at some of the convenience stores. So it was something that carried over. So this one's pretty rare, I would say. I've never seen this one before in all my years. So $160 on this one. Now here's a lot of 7-Up caps. Now, they've got some scratches and some other issues. They probably found them in a garage or somewhere where somebody wasn't paying any attention to them. I would have split these up. You would have probably got more money out of them as an individual cap. You might have got $100 a piece out of them as a cap. Who knows? It fluctuates. I would have put high and sold these individually. It's another mistake a lot of people make with these. They think they're not worth much. So first, they don't sell them for very much, or even when they do buy them to sell on eBay, they don't price them high enough. I would just throw a price out there on most of these. Maybe the first Pepsi one we showed you, maybe not. But this is one of those categories that's iffy. You're going to have to play it by ear. Once you've sold a bunch in this category, you know, you kind of get the gist on which ones really go for some good money. Now, here's a lot of early Canadian ones, too. So these are all some good ones here. It's a lot of 6s. You can see some have some issues where the actual gilting or the gold plate is off. And I see that a lot on some of these. This one went for $154. Now here's Cloverdale beer. I don't know if they know this is beer, but I'm almost positive Cloverdale is beer. I've seen some cards that said that. $139 basically on this one. Next one's a Prohibition cap. It's a nice one. Pabst, it's an early one for them, probably about the same time frame, 20s, 30s, maybe 40s at the newest. Most of the ones you want for these are all going to be vintage, so don't expect new ones, even from the 60s and 70s, to be worth much, unless it's something that's scarce. But even some of the 60s and 70s can go for like $7, $8, $10, so you won't lose out if you pay a few cents for these. Again, I can get a bag sometimes of these, or a whole can of these at a sale, maybe for $5 or less. You know, maybe 40 or 50 bottle caps. Usually they're in a garage, as I say, at an estate sale. Again, that's the best place if you don't have pickers to do that for you. Now here's another well-used, dirty, dingy one, but it's from Cuba. It's worth $130 just because of where it's from. That's the key factor in why this one's worth some money. You can see the bad condition, not the greatest photo, but the bad condition in general shows you what's up with this one here. So, and again, the condition-wise, it doesn't always matter that much. $130 for this because someone paid attention to that word Cuba. Had it not said Cuba, it might have only been worth $10, $20 at the most. It may have taken a little while to sell, but with Cuba, it sold straight out. It's gone. $130 on this one. And the last one here is an Aero Dark Beer. Now, this is another earlier one. It's unused. You can see because it's flared out. You can see how much of a rim edge it's got around here. Now, when they're used, obviously, it's crimped around the actual rounded base of the bottle. So you'll see it crimped, and you can definitely tell the difference. You'll be able to tell from discoloration on the cork whether it's been used or not. This one's $122. The store that is selling this is Soda Cap. That's the name of the store. There are several people that only sell soda caps on here. And you can also sell these on other sites. But that's what I have for you today. Well, there you go. That's another item that I always look for. Hopefully that gave you some ideas and some thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.